Hi. So, you guys may recognize me from the first video that I posted. Today, guys, what I'm going to be doing is just to give you guys a bit more of an understanding about what we're doing. I'm going to be doing a video explaining what is a deciduous forest. And just, I'm going to be making videos like this to further educate you guys and to help you understand what kind of issues that we're facing and what kind of solutions we're trying to create, and find out a bit more about who we're exactly trying to help in terms of wildlife. So a deciduous forest is a type of temperate forest in North America. Now, if you live for example, in the United States, if you live in Boston, New York, New Jersey area, or even some areas of Massachusetts, well, like the Boston, Massachusetts area, and if you even started getting into some of the states which are under the Maritimes, you live in what is called a deciduous forest. Now, the deciduous forest doesn't go across all those areas. However, much of the deciduous forest zone, as I call it, it's not, a lot of that area has been converted land-wise, so the land use has changed from what it once was in terms of a very biologically diverse landscape to what it is now, which is much of the center of urbanization in North America. Now, in the United States, much of the deciduous forest, especially in the majorly populated areas, has already been eliminated. In Central Park, you have an example of a really fragmented deciduous forest, and essentially the rest of the zone has been, obviously, as you know, New York is, you're lucky to find an apartment building with like a very little space, and it gets very expensive because so much of the space is used up. But obviously it's the place that people wish to go. So deciduous forest zones are basically a forest zone which has a temperate type of forest, and deciduous forests are basically the type of forests that have leaves and foliage that change throughout the seasons. So when you think of fall specifically, and when you think of the leaves changing color, well, that is unique to the deciduous forest. Ironically, it's one of the most canonized is the word I'm looking for, canonized forest types, because you see that in calendars specifically around, harvest and fall time. And it's a very commonly seen image, but ironically, those same forests are actually very much endangered. And it's not because that there isn't deciduous forest left, but the major threats to deciduous forests is not that they are being naturally fragmented away because of impacts of what we're doing. We are actually wiping them out by destroying them for urban land uses. And specifically here in southern Ontario, we live in the Toronto and the Greater Toronto area, which the GTA acronym, if you're not familiar with it, that's what that acronym's for, basically is covered by deciduous forest zone. Now, in the province of Ontario, where I live, the deciduous forest zone covers about 3% of the total province. Now, Ontario's fairly big, however, the deciduous forest zone isn't very big as a whole, just in comparison to the rest of the other 3 forest zones. However, at one time, it was the most biodiverse forest zone of the 4. And now much of the wildlife has moved out or has been pushed out, mainly because a lot of the wildlife that really do rely on the deciduous forests really need a lack of human disturbance. And because of a lot of human disturbance from a lot of development activity, it has pushed a lot of the wildlife out. Now, the St. Lawrence and Great Lands Forest Zone is somewhat similar, but it can't support the life of many of the species in the deciduous forest zone. And one of the species that's particularly at risk of disappearing from the deciduous forests here in southern Ontario is the bald eagle. Now, while there's other areas where the bald eagle does, has stable populations, the deciduous bald eagle of southern Ontario is being wiped out. And the reason that that's the case is because much of the deciduous forest that it relies, as well as the specific habitat qualities that exist within it, are being wiped out. And it's unfortunate because the deciduous forest is such a beautiful type of forest, and at one time was the most biodiverse forest, but because of the location of where the deciduous forest zone was located, much of it was converted because the land was seen by people as ideal to use and to urbanize, and became the major city centers. And because now for some reason Toronto's really picked up, the GTA area has really picked up in the past few years in terms of growth, it's more critical than ever for deciduous forest zones to get the support that they need. Now, our initiative's basically aiming to help that. Many different creatures we're helping, just besides the bald eagle. We're helping white-tailed deer, great fox, red fox, different variations of the coyote, various types of muskrat, squirrel, many types of squirrel species. There's a vast array of species that we are helping. Different types of salamanders, different types of frogs too, especially the Balding's frog is really at risk in this area. And the fragmentation of habitat, unfortunately, because of a lot of what has occurred, is really, really critical that we can help, that changes are made so that way some of these species can be saved. If you guys are interested, I've included the link below for our most recent campaign, and I hope you guys check it out, and I hope you found this video enjoyable and informed you a bit more about what the deciduous forest exactly is. Alright guys, thanks for watching.